Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Millionaire Mafia. My name's Jake, and I'm really glad that you guys were able to join us today. Today, I'm going to talk about how I went from having $3 in my bank account to over $3 million in assets in a pretty short amount of time, all while doing it as a side gig as a full-time Marine Corps instructor pilot and raising a family of six. This is going to be a two-part series for the sake of time. There's a lot of stuff. We got to set the tone, and we got to set the stage for what led to the decision and what led to the ultimate takeoff point for getting to that $3 million point. First, we need to set some things straight. And I'm not special. I didn't do anything unusual. I made mistakes. I had a poor mindset. I wasn't prepared financially and career-wise. Prior to this happening, I had changed my mindset at a certain point, which is great. But mindset and having a good head on your shoulders is only so good. At some point, you have to act. You have to take action. You need to make a decision, and you need to act on that decision. So let's talk about how I got to $3 in the bank account. So we're going to start right before we moved here to Pensacola, and I was still stationed out in sunny California. So we rented at the time. We bought what we wanted. We didn't live lavishly, but we didn't, we weren't frugal. Let's put it that way. If we saw something we wanted, we would just buy it with what we had, and typically we used a credit card. We didn't have much debt. We did have kind of a rolling balance in the card, but we essentially spent what we made. Then we PCS'd from California to Florida, and we bought our first house. It was July of 2014. Didn't really know much about real estate at the time, other than that I knew everybody was buying it, so we should too. And compared to California, Florida was cheap. And I was paying about the same amount in rent as I would have on the mortgage for the house, so the math made sense. Well, when we got here, I became a helicopter instructor pilot here at Whiting Field here in Pensacola or Milton area. It was a great job. And long days, tough hours, things like that, but it was very rewarding. So everything was going pretty good until about the end of the year, right around Christmas time. And I got hit with a $5,000 truck repair bill. Just a lot of things, a bunch of deferred maintenance and maintenance that happens on high time parts and things like that. Then the HVAC died and we had to fix that. Then the oven broke. Then we had to get braces for my oldest, and then a kind of culminated with when we move, we get paid if we move some of our own stuff, called a Diddy move, do it yourself move. And apparently I had done the move paperwork incorrectly, and instead of a $1,600 to $1,800 credit that we were supposed to get, we actually got hit with a $600 debit directly taken out of our account, which was totally not expected. So essentially we had about a $2,300 to $2,400 difference in what we were expecting to have in our account. We were also living about a month ahead of our credit card statement, and what I mean by that is our statement was due in mid to late of the end of the month, 23rd or so. We were living and we were spending from ahead of that, so we were basically already doing expenditures. That bill was from the previous month, and we were already spending that month's amount. So we were living hand to mouth, right? So we essentially couldn't pay off the credit card bill if we wanted to. We were always paying off our credit card bill, but it was always basically draining our account. And so the tipping point where I realized how bad of financial shape we were in. We had just come home from a long Friday, did a triple, 3 events with students trying, doing their best to try and kill me. And so I came home, it was a Friday, and I was exhausted after a long week. And Katie shows me our balance, our statement for our USA account. And the first line was our checking account, and it had $3 in it. That's all it had. The next line was what really woke me up. It was bad enough having $3 to your name. But then the next line was the $4,500 credit card bill that was going to be due in a couple weeks. Now, we did have our payment, our biweekly payment coming in for the Marine Corps, but at the time it was worth about 3,500 to 3,800 bucks. So we were in a bind. So I knew that I had to do something. We knew we had to do something, but at the time we didn't know what to do. So that was Friday. We kind of racked our brains. We decided that, hey, we're going to eat ramen. We're going to, turn the AC up to 85. We're going to, sell off, Lexi at the time was probably our least favorite kid, but no, I'm just kidding. I love them all, but the dog was on the chopping block. Anyway, so on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember what it was, but I had a buddy, a good friend of mine. I'll just use his call sign now. His call sign's Vaney. He was a Cobra buddy. We deployed. We kind of would do the high five on the way in and out. He was a different squadron, but we were working at the same building, same office, and flying the same aircraft. So we were talking. We got a pretty good relationship, and I kind of mentioned the kind of situation I was in, and he's like, dude. He's like, I'm no genius. I'm no, Warren Buffett or anything like that, but I'm telling you, got to read these books. And I say, hey, man, I'll do anything, right? So he gave me 4 books and had a 5th one that he recommended, but just didn't have that one on him. He gave it to me a couple of days later. And he said, read them in the following order. And they were 1, Way to Wealth by Benjamin Franklin. Very short book. The second one was The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. The third one was Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. The 4th one was Rich Dad Poor Dad, What the Wealthy Teach Their Kids That the Poor Do Not by Robert Kiyosaki. And the 5th one that he didn't have, but that I found out that we actually had, and it was actually a program at our house. We had been given to us by some friends or family at some point in our lives. And it was called Financial Peace University by the well-known author and motivational speaker Dave Ramsey, right? So I got the books from him, I think, on the end of Thursday or something like that week. By the time he got them and brought them in, so after I got off of work on Friday, and then basically Friday through Sunday, I read the first 4 books. Boom, just read them. They're not the longest books or anything, but it was a lot of reading, right? And then the 5th one, I started Financial Peace, the actual program, on that Monday. I had taken some leave off. I heard it worked out that way. And it's a 13-week program, if you don't already know, and I did it in 5 days. So basically Monday through Friday, I went through all the lessons, did all the workbooks, did all the investigation, all the calls, all the emails, everything to set up all the systems and processes in place to go along with some of the stuff that I learned in Automatic Millionaire to automate a lot of that stuff, and I was good. Now, Katie and I technically went through it together, but she took a little bit longer, and at first it kind of frustrated me, but a little bit, down the road, I look at it back in hindsight, and we'll probably do another video on this, but it'll talk about why that was actually something that probably saved us and was actually a blessing in disguise. And that will go into why the whole mafia part of Millionaire Mafia, and that the strength is in the family, and individuals, even with the best intentions, can actually derail the family progress and success by thinking irrationally or not taking all considerations into account. So, however, even though we took a little bit longer to go through it, Katie and I, we did go essentially full retard on the baby steps, right? So we built $1,000. We built up an emergency fund. We sold everything we could. I was selling books and old equipment and old whatever on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and all that kind of stuff. We did have this weird, like a small universal whole life policy that we used to pay off my wife's van and things like that. And we can maybe talk about that some other time as well. But anyway, we figured out we had about $50,000 in debt, both between credit cards, between van payments. My car thankfully was paid off, but we still had about a $4,000 bill from the repairs. Remember I talked about. And then we had some land that had actually lost value that we had bought a couple years before, thinking it was a good idea to retire to. And anyway, so we ended up paying it all off. And the plan was to do it in 18 months. And we had a glide slope, a plan for that. And we did it in 4. And so this was about Christmas time of 2015. And we were debt free, minus our house, right? So now what, right? So we had taken into account some of the things that we had learned in financial peace, and so we started saving the recommended amount, and we started investing. And the reason I use those air quotes is there's certain things that I definitely agree with that Dave Ramsey does, and there's certain things that I disagree with. And one of those happens to be what his recommendations and for investments are. But we can talk about that some other time. But anyway, we started investing. We were doing what we were supposed to do. We were doing what we were told. We were doing what the experts were saying to do, and we did that for about a year. And things were good. We had liquidity in case we had an emergency. All of our debt was paid off, and we were saving some of our paycheck, and we were, living essentially well below our means. So now, this time in my career, it was the fall of 2016. I came up for promotion to the next rank. I was a captain at the time in the Marine Corps, which is an 03. The next rank is major. So the difference from going from captain in 03 to a major 04 is about $1,200 a month in increased paycheck, which is good. It also kind of crosses you into, we kind of call it like sanctuary. So you still got to do a good job. You still got to work hard. You still got to be a Marine and do everything that's expected of you and then some. But once you hit major, you're essentially on glide slope to finish out your career as long as you're in good standing for 20 years, get that retirement check, and it'll be coming for the rest of your life. Get all the benefits, medical, family taken care of, access to all the bases, and any other type of MWR things and stuff like that. So that's a really big thing, the big life event, a very big career transition. So I had a buddy, and he was the monitor at the time. So we had deployed together. We had served in the same squadron together. And his job as the monitor is to basically rack and stack people in their jobs based off of needs of the Marine Corps. So we met here in Pensacola, and he had given me the orders that I requested, and it was awesome. I was heading back to California. I was going to be flying Cobras again, teaching guys how to, young guys coming back to the squadron after getting their wings, how to fly, the mighty AH-1 whiskey, and how to shoot it and how to, tactically employ it. It's awesome. Then, but I was a little nervous because, I'd never get to this point. It was kind of a once in a career type of thing. And he said, dude, here's the thing. Are you breathing? And I said, pretty sure. He said, cool. He's like, are you PME complete? And PME is like our education and training and certain wickets that we have to hit to get advanced to the next level. And I was. And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, dude, you're fine. He's like, you're also an ASO too, right? And I was like, yeah, I am. And an ASO is an aviation safety officer, which is definitely a booster to your career. It's thought of very highly in the aviation community as far as a secondary MOS that we get. So essentially I was set at the time. And in his defense, and this is nothing against him, at the time that was 100% the going rate, right? If you could fog a mirror and you had your PME complete, you were golden, right? And the fogging a mirror part wasn't even really a requirement. It just kind of, it was. But really, if you had PME complete, you were good. So fast forward a couple months, the actual board results in December came out, specifically December 15th, so about a week and a half before Christmas, and about 3 days before I was getting ready to go on my Christmas leave. We have about 2 weeks that we get to take off for Christmas. So Christmas is coming up, expecting, no doubt around the getting promoted. And I get called in my CO's office, expected it because, that's what he does. They always call everybody in and tell them that they got promoted, right? Well, unfortunately, my conversation with my CO went a little differently. So, I came in there and we had a good relationship with each other. But he, long story short, said, hey, man, sorry, you didn't make the cut. And so that was a pretty big bombshell. When you're expecting something that is that career changing and you've modeled your entire kind of mindset and your expectations for that, and then it doesn't happen, it sucks, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys have had something very similar, be it a job situation, a family, sickness or death or something that changes in your life. and we've all hit it. So I'm no different. You know, thankfully it didn't have anything to do with anybody in my family being sick or dying or anything like that. While that has happened, that wasn't the case. But it felt the same, right? So I went home. I finished up my job for the day, and I went home, and I did what any, pissed off Marine would probably do, and a few walls and some boards and some things in my yard and in my house were maliciously broken, right? Once I cooled down a little bit, because at that point my wife didn't even know what was going on, so she was probably a little concerned looking back. But anyway, so we chatted and we figured it out. We discussed what happened, and we realized that we needed to make a very, very major life decision, and we needed to make it fast. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video of part one of how I went from $3 in my bank account to over $3 million in assets, all while on a side gig, flying for the Marine Corps and raising a family of 6. In part two, I'm going to discuss how the major life event that we just talked about actually helped me grow $3 into $3 million and allowed me and my family to escape the rat race and achieve financial independence. I really hope you'll join me. If you want to see the finale and lots of other videos that are just like this one and even better, right? Please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel so you can get those notifications when they're ready, and more importantly, so that we can get the word out to everybody else out there that really wants to go from being financially illiterate to being financially wealthy, not only for themselves, but for future generations as well. Thanks again for watching, guys. Here's to your wealth.